All right, guys. Paul Singh, the market speculator, with the trade report for Thursday, August 19th, I believe it is, 2016. It's coming to you guys in the afternoon today. I've got a busy morning, so if anything significant happens pre-market, I'll send out a note. But otherwise, this is our report for Thursday. A lot to get to today with a couple of the trades we made at the end of the day. And then some of the stuff that's setting up here. But SPY here, remember we talked about a little bit of a concern about the test of the 9. We broke through it today, but came back strong by the close and held up, put in this little hammer, not a huge significant hammer like say this one here, but it's a good sign. And then if we look at IWM, again, we're tracking this very closely. We want IWM to lead. It was leading as it was above its 9, but today, not quite there, but okay, nothing to be concerned about. So still working off all this big move here, but still slightly bullish to the upside, but taking selective shorts. Let's look at a couple of other sectors here. GLD looking decent for our UGLD position. USO still flying off our trade here where we got in UCO on this bullish engulfing, still running, and now has remounted these moving averages, exactly what we want to see. We talked about 11 as being the next partial, but I might be inclined to play for a bigger move here. And actually we're talking about UCO as 11 being our partial, and I might be inclined to even play a bigger move. Remember, we took the first partial around 10, so USO working out really nicely. And then finally, the last sector, we've got biotech here that we're paying attention to, and we want to see biotech hold strong above the 9 and then make that push here. Still in a longer-term downtrend, but remember, it has shown relative strength since Brexit. So let's see how that one plays out. Now, for the positions, first let me review our current positions that we were just holding. UGLD, just same thing as gold here. Still right around our entry, and we're waiting for that push to 15. Netflix looking pretty good. Entry was at 94, upper 94s. We're up to 96.37, looking for that move to the moving average sandwich here at 100. So still playing out good there. Now, for some of our entries and exits today, took the exit in Brazil, final exit here, and it did actually kind of bounce back, and I'm inclined to maybe enter again. So with Brazil, remember we got the entry here on this bullish engulfing, relative strength to the market. EWZ, we're using BRZU as our trading vehicle. Run up to 155, took the partial there, and then put our trailing stop at 144 because I want to lock in that 1,000. I don't want that portion of it turn into break even. That would only be a $2,000 win. I wanted it to be at least 3,000, which gives us 1.5 to 2 to 1. And obviously we were going here. You see the lines here: 180, 220, 260. Pulled back to that 144 level, so we got out of it. Turned into a $3,000 win. Pretty good here for this run here. Now the question is, you know, the reason for 144 is a close at that level kind of signifies a deeper pullback as we get that close below the 9. Problem is, this happened intraday, and then it ended up closing above. So I would have liked to stuck with it, but you know, that intraday action got us out. At this point, if we show some strength, I will have no problem getting back in. I kind of relate this to baseball, where you take a pitcher out in baseball, you have to put in a different pitcher, and you can't use your same pitcher again. That's not the case with us. We can go back and forth as many times as we want, like in football or basketball, where you take a guy out, you plug him back in. We can get out of this and get right back into it. So if we see that strength, which it actually looks like a nice kind of hammer here, I'll be willing to get back into that. Now, our other entries, Nugget, a few of you were confused about this one because I entered twice. Now, when I enter, you know, these hammers, I usually wait till the close. So when I enter intraday, and I was seeing a lot of strength, and I'll show you guys exactly what I was looking at intraday. I didn't even bother to look at what the news was, but you see here, Nugget was gapping down a little bit and kind of consolidating all day down here. Then all of a sudden, not only did it make this move, but there was a ton of intraday volume behind it. It wasn't, the volume wasn't in here like it was the rest of the day. It shot up here. That was a pretty good signal. It was around 2 o'clock, so there must have been some kind of gold news or something here that caused this. I'll go back and look, but that was the clue to get back into it. But even there intraday, I'm not going to take my full position size because sometimes those are fake outs, even though it had a ton of volume. So I take a position. I then look to the close. If it's still showing that strength into the close, then I'll add to it and make it the full position. So here with Nugget, and maybe I got a little big on this because I am using, say, 7 points, 400 shares. That could end up being about a $2,800 loss, which I've had some other losses around that level. That comes out to about 2% on the high end of what I'm risking, but that's okay. I love the hammer here on heavy volume. And not only is it heavy volume, we know looking at that intraday, what I showed you guys, that heavy volume came towards the later in the day when it was forming the hammer. So that's a good sign. So ideally, textbook technical analysis, we'd expect a pop here tomorrow. So that's the idea behind Nugget. Now, also later in the day, Ren was that extended parabolic short. We got that inverted hammer yesterday and held up today. I would have liked to see a little poorer of a close, but went with the short here. Remember, I put this in the trader alert, speculative. And small position size. So I think I only took 500 or 600 shares here. It ended up being an $8,000 position. You know, most of my positions are between 15 and 30,000. So very small. In case, you know, these are counter trend on some high flyers here. If this thing gaps up to 22 or 23, I want to be protected. So always take, if you do decide to take this, one of these speculative shots, make sure it's a small position. Stop's going to be up in here, and initial target will be right around the 9. So a good 4 points there. And then finally, Buffalo Wild Wings, and I got some emails about this one as well. Hey, we just shorted this. We made money off it. Why are you reversing? Remember, the short was counter trend. It's a quick short. It's got an earnings catalyst. Now it's pulling back, and we're essentially playing now the breakout pullback. So put in that pivot here and then close today above the 9. I like that strength, which is why we got into Buffalo Wild Wings. We'll play for the move to the top of the range, or maybe even a breakout and stop below, right around today's low. Okay, recap of what we did today. Now let's go to the focus list. And we've got the focus list we've had, and I won't go over that again. We talked about it today. We're looking for these pullbacks and then strength, forming pivots, exactly what Buffalo Wild Wings. So Buffalo Wild Wings played to the plan we had this morning, where it pulls back, pivots, that's our signal. So that's what we're looking at. And I could actually, this is the earnings breakout list of 96 stocks. There's 50 or 60 that are putting in these kind of patterns, and I can't list all of them. So even though I've got this focus list here, there could be stocks showing up as trades tomorrow or the day after that weren't on the list because they put in those pivots here. But let's go through a few of them that I'm adding to our focus list. These are all earnings breakout plays that have pulled back. ICE here, ICE actually is a high tight flag, and it's kind of breaking towards the top of the range. It's actually a decent entry here with a stop below the 9. Jack, another high tight flag, but pulled back and tested the 9. If it were to close above today's high, I might be inclined to get in. WMGI, very similar. You're seeing the same pattern over and over again. You could take a test here, a shot here, or wait for the break of 25. CSTE, a little bit different. It's had a deeper pullback and is testing the original gap here. If this closes above the 9, this is kind of a slam dunk entry if it does that, and that's the key. If it doesn't do that, I stay away from here, away from it. EAT, this one, we don't know what it's going to do, but if it closes over 55, that would be a really good signal. BABA has a lot of strength behind it here. I would look for either a test down in here or a break of the top of the range, and if it breaks 100, this thing could really fly. SSRI, a steel miner here, put in a nice hammer like much of the gold miners did, and holding that 9. I could have entered this instead of Nugget if I wanted to. It's a very similar pattern, and I like it a lot there. Yelp, One of our favorites here, pulling back, testing. It needs to show us something here. Right now it's just in pullback mode. And then IMAX, a little bit of different pattern, much like CSTE, testing the gap level here. So I would love to see it fill the gap and then, and this is the key, show strength. I wouldn't blindly buy it at that level. And then finally, Twilio here. Let's see how it consolidates. Nothing to do with it yet, but it's on watch. Maybe it consolidates and then makes another push higher. Hasn't really followed through with this potential short setup in there. And let's go through the extended stocks. You know, we took REN, MPET. I actually am in this in my more aggressive account. KTOS, not really following through there. I thought about taking Cinna instead of REN near the close today, but I felt like there was more potential downside with REN. And but I could see a move here to test the 9 or maybe pull back even deeper, even though it is a strong stock. So that's a potential short. XONE consolidating, so I don't like to see them consolidate this much. HWAY is another one that's on watch here for a pullback, and that's about it. The move in ADXS has been made. It still could pull back further, but the really good entry was up in there. So that's it for the trade report today. A lot of stuff going on here. And if there's anything significant in the morning tomorrow, I will send out a note.